here we are. We've reached the story of Rumpelstiltskin, which is a story I really like. I enjoy spinning stories. Spinning a yarn about spinning a yarn. There was once a miller who had a daughter who was the apple of his eye. And he began to tell a story that his daughter was so clever she could spin straw into gold. And this story travelled around, as stories do, until it reached the ears of the king. The king, of course, was greedy. So he sent for the miller's daughter, which is how she found herself in a room in the castle full of straw with a spinning wheel. And she had instructions that she was to work all night and spin until she had turned all the straw into gold. And if she failed, her life would be forfeit. So the miller's daughter, who could no more spin than she could fly, and who certainly couldn't spin anything into gold, sat and wept. And there appeared in the room a strange little man with a red hat. And he said, if I spin this straw into gold for you, what will you give me? And the miller's daughter said, I have a necklace I can give you. So the little man took the necklace and sat down on a stool and began to work at the spinning wheel, and he spun and he spun and he spun. And by the morning there was a pile of gold there, and of course the king was overjoyed. So the miller's daughter found herself in a bigger room with more straw on a spinning wheel. This is what happens if you hit targets, they just give you a bigger target. On the second night, the same little man appeared with his same red hat, and he said, what will you give me? The miller's daughter gave him her ring, and he spun and he spun and he spun all night. And so the third night, the miller's daughter found herself in an even bigger room with even more straw. And this time, when the little man came, she said, I have nothing left to give you. And the little man said, if you marry the king and have a baby, give me the child. And the miller's daughter thought this was so unlikely that she readily agreed. So in the morning, when the king saw the pile of gold, he was so grateful to the miller's daughter, he decided to marry her. Once she was queen, she didn't have to do any more spinning. So she lived in luxury and comfort. And of course, after some time, she gave birth to a healthy, bouncing baby boy. But she was surprised when the same little man with his same red hat appeared in her room as she was sitting nursing her son. And the queen said, you can't take him. He's my beautiful baby. And the little man said, we had an agreement. It is time for you to pay your debt. And the miller's daughter, who was now the queen, said, is there nothing I can do? The little man thought, you have 3 days, 3 nights in which to find out my name. If you find out my true name, you can keep your child. And he simply disappeared. So for the next 3 days, the next 3 nights, the queen sent out riders all over the kingdom, north, south, east and west, to find out as many names and to see if anyone could find this strange little man with his red hat and this magical gift. So after some time, one rider came back and said he had seen, deep in the woods, a strange little man with a red hat dancing round a fire and singing, "Tonight I brew, tonight I bake, tomorrow the queen's child I'll take. By my kith and by my kin, she will never guess I am Rumpelstiltskin." So when the little man appeared to the queen, saying, "The child is mine," she played a little game with him and said, "Well, is your name Hans?" "No." "Is your name Hein?" "No." "Is your name Rumpelstiltskin?" And with that, the little man stamped his foot so hard through the floor that it broke the floorboard, and one of his legs went down in a hole. And he pulled and he pulled and he pulled at his leg so hard, he pulled himself in two. So the little prince stayed with his mother, and the little man was, of course, never seen again. Very odd story. Linen, which of course is very expensive and you can sell it for gold, is made from flax, which looks like straw. In Old English, flax is linwort. So something made out of lin is linen, in the way that something made out of wood is wooden. So flax nowadays. Now, of course, this is where we get linseeds from, linseed oil that you use for preserving wood. It goes into muesli, honey. So yes, you can take flax and turn it into linen and sell it for gold. Why are fairies and elves always trying to get human children? They often leave one of their own in exchange, a changeling. It may well be a way of explaining why some babies had perhaps a club foot, or perhaps had, I don't know, something that what we would now call Down syndrome or whatever. But it would certainly make it a great deal easier to perhaps take your child into the wood and abandon them if you could rationalise this by saying, but they're not really human, are they? And of course, like the story of Hansel and Gretel, it sounds very hard to us, but you know, go back a few hundred years to subsistence agriculture communities couldn't afford to support anyone who couldn't, you know, who couldn't work. So there is a dark side to a lot of ancestral memories, but a lot of it was just a case of surviving. So there we are. You can spin lots of things, by the way. It doesn't have to be sheep's fleece. But on that note, I've just spun you a yarn. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you again soon.